From Fremont, California, this is the Smokie podcast, a production of the Smoke Signal covering everything from student life to what's happening in the world, all in short 20-minute episodes. I'm Mahek, Bhora, web editor of the Smoke Signal, and I want to welcome you to our third episode of the second season, where some of our Smokies will be giving you, the listener, a behind-the-scenes look into being a part of the Smoke Signal from each of their unique perspectives. You'll be hearing what it's like to be a first-year staff writer, a second-year writer and manager, an editor, and an editor-in-chief.
Hi, I'm Isabella Heath, a first-year staff writer here at the Smoke Signal, and I've been here for a little under a year. I first decided to apply for the Smoke Signal after getting introduced to journalism at an expository class I took. I really loved the environment that class gave me, which was a chance to develop my writing outside of an academic setting and gain feedback from my peers and mentors. I was really excited to continue my journey at the Smoke Signal, and one of the first things that us J1 first-year staff writers got to experience was watching the editors, managers, and senior staff writers go through an entire circle from top to bottom. So that includes the BSI, which are our story idea pitches and how we choose the stories for that cycle and for that month of publishing stories. From writing these stories and going through the rounds of edits and drafts. And it gave me a sneak peek on what that I was going to experience and all that I was going to learn at the Smoke Signal. Something else that was really fun for me to learn was during our J1 trainings, we got to learn how to email news sources and conduct professional interviews. And actually, a lot of the skills I learned there have been really applicable to other areas of my life as well. A prime example of that is with my nonprofit organization, SM Inclusion. Something that's really crucial with that is being able to form partnerships and collaborations with local businesses and being able to reach out to them, email them, and then impress them in meetings in order to be able to continue those partnerships. And a lot of the skills that I learned at the Smoke Signal with the interviews that we conduct for stories has been really beneficial for that. Another example of skills that I'm learning at the Smoke Signal carrying over to other areas of my life is these pitching skills that we've learned at the Smoke Signal. It was unexpected to learn this as much as I did about my pitching skills at the Smoke Signal, but with our stand-up pitches, which are when we pitch ourselves to be a writer for a story, or if we pitch an idea that we want the Smoke Signal to publish for that month, we have to give stand-up pitches, which are around 30-second elevator pitches that explain why you should be the writer for that story or why your idea should be chosen. And this was extremely useful for my social enterprise called Awesome, which provides at-home therapy kits for children with autism. Something that's really crucial with that comes with investors and business competitions, and the ability to give elevator pitches and market yourself and your skills is so crucial with that. And I learned so much about it watching my peers pitch and learning from them at the Smoke Signal. Something else that I've learned at the Smoke Signal that has been really valuable to my life has been learning how to filter through news, which has been especially useful with the 2020 elections, Capitol Hill riots, and the Black Lives Matter movement. It's so crucial to know how to be able to separate fact from opinion, develop an open and critical mind, and be able to form your own perspective about the current events and things happening around you. And that's something that I really learned and honed my skills in during my time at the Smoke Signal. Something else that I was really scared to write for at the Smoke Signal was the arts and entertainment section, which is the movie, album, restaurant, story, song reviews that we do here at the Smoke Signal. I had never written such an article before, and I was really scared to get my hands on my first ever this type of writing at the Smoke Signal. But it turned out to be one of my favorite, most enjoyable, most rewarding writing experiences ever, writing my first album review for the Smoke Signal. That is one of the reasons why I encourage everybody to apply, because you get to open your writing up to new realms and new possibilities. You get to join a collaborative environment of some of the most supportive, motivated, and just enjoyable people to work with. And you also get free bagels, free shirts, and you get to join a network of really cool alumni as well. Apply to join the Smoke Signal.
Hi, I'm Varun. I'm a second-year journalist at the Smoke Signal, and I'm also the events manager. And as the events manager, I help organize the guest speakers, the free bagels at the end of the month, and pretty much every other staff event that we have, as well as the merchandise. So I applied my sophomore year mainly because I was planning on taking English 11 honors, which for me was going to be my very first honors English course, and I was pretty nervous about my writing skills. So coming from a CP background in English during my freshman and sophomore years, I was pretty well aware of the typical mission mindset and the whole stigma surrounding these non-honors classes, and it made me pretty hesitant in applying. But in the end, I decided it was better to apply and know that I got rejected than to not apply because I was a CP student and constantly wonder about whether or not I could have gotten in. But now that I've worked in the smoke signal for 2 years, I can definitely say that the whole fear I had over getting rejected solely based on the fact that I took CP classes was pretty much nonsense. Nobody really cares about whether you're a CP student or an honors student. As long as you're as long as you have a passion for writing and developing your own skills, the smoke signal is a perfect place for you. Something I wish I knew that I didn't know while applying was that journalism is so much more than just the gateway to improving your own writing skills. It also really helps you develop real world skills in a very hands on manner, which is something that no other class at Mission can offer you. The paper also really helps you form stronger connections with your peers and your teachers through collecting voices from the student body and conducting interviews. Some really unexpected things you'll learn are how to give elevator pitches and speak on the spot, which for me, I found personally useful. You learn how to do this in a workshop as a J1 student, and I've really got the opportunity to use these skills in my various extracurricular activities, from being the vice president at the Technology Student Association of California to getting various internships. So now let's talk a little bit about my role in the Smoke Signal. I'm the events manager, like I said, and as a manager, I really love how I'm still able to write articles with the other staff writers, but I'm also in charge of a specific aspect of the Smoke Signal. Depending on the type, each manager has a very specific role. So we have the business manager, which handles the finances and money transactions. We have the ads manager, which helps get customers and gets the revenue flowing in. We have the tech manager, which helps make sure the computers and printers and all the other technologies flowing smoothly. And then we have the circulation manager, which is in charge of distributing the paper to the rest of the community. So part of what makes being a manager so great is the fact that you'll be able to get the satisfaction of seeing a project you've worked so hard to develop and worked so hard to grow. You'll get to see it unfold successfully. The satisfaction that comes from that is pretty much unbeatable. This year, I organized our Secret Santa event, which was pretty difficult to organize, considering the fact that we were delivering gifts to 35 people and in quarantine, which made it all the more difficult. There's obviously a bunch of things that could go wrong, but while it was really stressful at the time, to see everything turn out perfectly, it just really felt amazing, and it just really feels nice knowing or seeing your hard work pay off. So joining the Smoke Signal is probably the most unique experiences on campus. You're not really signing up for a class to just improve your writing skills, but you're deciding to join a really collaborative community of hardworking, driven individuals who I guarantee will push you outside your comfort zone to help you grow and develop. So, with all that said, I really encourage you all to apply to the Smoke Signal.
Hi guys, my name is Meg and I'm the Arts and Entertainment Editor at the Smoke Signal. So my journey with the Smoke Signal started in freshman year. I was looking at a free elective that I had for the next year and I honestly didn't know what to put down. So my friend Mahek told me that I should apply for the Smoke Signal because she was too, and I just decided to give it a shot on a whim. And I always had this passion for creative writing, like songs, stories, poetry, but I never really wrote for a publication before at all, actually. So I was super unsure going in, but I can honestly say that being a part of the Smoke Signal is one of the best things that I've had happen to me in high school. I think the biggest thing that I've learned from my years in the Smoke Signal are my public speaking skills. I've definitely gotten a lot more comfortable with speaking to people and in front of people. And a lot of this growth has come just in the last few months, actually, after becoming an editor. Because as an editor, I had to give workshops to the new J1. I had to tell them how to write stories, and I had to communicate very efficiently with them in order for anything to get done. So I definitely think that just from being an editor, I've become a much more confident communicator. And from becoming an editor too, I've learned all these graphic design skills that I honestly didn't expect at all. I have never been a super talented artist. In fact, I never really saw myself as ever getting into any sort of art at all. But being in the smoke signal and as an editor, you have to really tap into that artistic creativity to get spreads done, to do cover images for online stories. And over time and with experience, I've definitely mastered programs like Adobe InDesign, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop. And it's one of my most fun responsibilities now to make spreads. So I owe that to the smoke signal as well. Before this year, I also didn't know how much work it would take to be an editor. I didn't know how many stories I would be doing, and it was kind of a surprise when I realized just how much work it was to balance 4 to 5 stories per cycle. You know, editors have to pick the stories and then see them all the way through to when they're published on the website. And I've really had to get better with my time management skills. So, for example, I keep a calendar of all my deadlines that are strictly smoke signal related now. And I've had to communicate very well with the writers to make sure that everything gets turned in on time. And I think the smoke signal has just made me more responsible with my time, frankly. And that's one of the best things that I've gotten. I also have gotten really involved with the community that I didn't really expect when I first got into the smoke signal. I learned a lot of things about MSJ that I didn't expect. So the biggest example is probably I wrote a story last year about Universal performers going to the Linnea Theater Festival. And I was so surprised because I didn't even know our school had a drama club. I've been involved with theater outside of school for years, but it was really strange to see a drama club that I wasn't a part of, even though it was at my own school. And now it's kind of come full circle because I'm going to the same theater festival that I wrote about this year. So I think the smoke signal really just helps you interact with parts of the MSJ community that you might not have even heard of. And even with all these skills that I've picked up and all these lessons that I've learned, I can honestly say that the most valuable thing I've gained from the smoke signal are the friends that I've made and the bonds that I've forged. I think I'm not sure if it's because we're in such a collaborative environment or whether it's because we're such like-minded people, but I can honestly say I've made some of my best friends in this organization. So anyone who's even thinking of applying should definitely give it a shot. And it's one of the most rewarding experiences I've been a part of. So apply to the smoke signal.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Wu, and I am the co-editor-in-chief of the Smoke Signal. So I'm currently a senior. I've been in the Smoke Signal for about 3 years now, and I joined as a sophomore because I was really looking for an environment where I could find a creative group of people to work together with and really produce something really cool in the paper. Since joining, it's honestly been so much more than I ever expected, and I can honestly say that it's been the best experience of being in high school so far. Beyond that, I think what's really cool is that, working the paper, you have a hand in helping define other students' experiences in high school as well. I think it's really empowering to have a voice and a platform to share your ideas with the community and then really be able to help celebrate the community's efforts and accomplishments over the years too. I think what has been the most rewarding so far over the course of this year is being able to see our staff grow and develop and kind of go through the same troubles that I had when I was in my sophomore year and my junior year, when I was trying to discover who I was as a leader, trying to find confidence in my decision-making skills. These are all things that, really with the support of the staff around you and our advisor, Ms. Cohen, you really learn to master and feel like you really belong and you've grown so much in the smoke signal. And that's what I think really defines a Smokie experience. It's just going through all this growth and then being able to take pride in seeing others go through that same experience as well. I think one example that we can think of, if you know any Smokies, you might know that we go on an annual San Francisco trip where, you have to go on the street as a first-year writer and just talk to strangers and ask them questions. And you're going to face a lot of rejection. It's terrifying. I was shaking when I went up there on the streets of San Francisco on like a rainy weekday to try to talk to strangers. It's really, really scary. And I didn't think I could do it. But what really helped is that, we have our editors helping us out. We have, our fellow co-writers around us also going through the same experience. And only through, the guidance of our editor-in-chiefs and our editors and the people above us, our advisor, Mrs. Cohen, can we really come together and learn from these scary experiences to come out the other end stronger and know that we are capable of making this progress. And Smoke Signal really is just such a nurturing environment where you can really grow these opportunities and learn to embrace these uncomfortable parts of trying new things. It's been a lot of effort this year, and been a large chunk of what our work has been is kind of managing the creation of new projects that we have going on. So we have like our monthly newsletter, which is called the Signal, our new animated intros for our teasers into the month. We also even have like building up this podcast itself. And so honestly, it's just like such a creative process no matter where you are, even though you're not actually doing some of the detail work, the creative work from the ground up. It's just such a creative environment around you that you're constantly being inspired by all these new projects and all these new ideas. And it really is such like an entrepreneurial experience to be in a managerial position in the Smoke Signal as well. You're constantly creating and you're constantly, being motivated by those around you. Another really cool thing about being editor-in-chief this year is that you have the opportunity to kind of set the tone for the organization. Every year it kind of changes just based on who's in the staff and kind of what the organization and structure is. So this year, obviously it's a little bit different. We have our distance learning. But I think what's been really cool so far is that everybody in the Smoke Signal really just wants to be there. We work hard to get here into the organization. And so then we're still able to kind of forge these connections between all the writers and all the editors. And that kind of goes to show like how important communication is and how much you learn how to communicate effectively within the organization. Because even, when we're in distance learning, we're still like communicating online and, talking to each other every day about what the progress is on our stories. And throughout these little conversations, we're making new friends and we're kind of bringing our Smokie family really closer together. And so I think that's what, we've taken some of the most pride in this year is just being able to have such a close-knit family in Smoke Signal, even with the troubles of distance learning and just all the things that come with it. I think it's kind of a perfect opportunity that you're learning about this right now because we have our applications open now. I guarantee you will not regret applying and kind of being a part of the Smoke Signal because it's honestly like this was only a short couple of minutes that I've been talking about it, but I could talk for hours about what I've learned and what I love about the Smoke Signal. And I'm sure that, as we've seen, all the other Smokies can as well. If you ever heard us talking about our experiences in there, you'll know how much it means to each and every single one of us. And you should absolutely apply because you will not regret it. Do not miss out on this opportunity to join. I hope you were able to kind of learn something or have a good time listening to me talking about my experiences being in the Smoke Signal and learning a little bit more about what our organization has to offer.
One question that we received was, what's the workload like and what's the time commitment like? I would say that the time commitment is around the same as any one of my other classes. It's definitely also a front-loaded class, which means that we get the bulk of our work at the beginning of the school year and the beginning of the cycle. And that comes with writing the articles, doing the background research on the articles that are necessary. And for J1 first-year staff writers, that also comes with the trainings, mock articles that we have to do to get prepared to write. But it's definitely also labor of love and one of the most rewarding and enjoyable experiences that I personally have ever had.
So the question we got from the Google form was, what was the shift from in-person to virtual journalism like? The shift wasn't really as bad as it might seem. For writers, I'd definitely say it's been pretty much the same, except for the fact that you don't really get to see your peers or your editors as much. So it's a lot harder to connect, but we've got it pretty much on lockdown because, we're contacting each other on Messenger, hopping on video calls. So even though we have all these restrictions, we've been able to manage pretty well. Another thing is we can't really do any event coverages because of COVID. But I guess, despite all these obstacles that we've had to face with this transition to virtual journalism, it's been a really great learning experience to see online journalism in action.
So a question that we got was, how many articles does each writer write per month and how are articles chosen? So this year, our writers write about 1 to 2 articles per month, and articles are chosen in a process at the beginning of our cycle. First, writers pitch 2 to 3 ideas for each section in BSI, which is where we give our story ideas for the cycle, then editors will pick the stories that they want for their section, and they'll post about those stories, and then writers in turn will turn in pitches for each of the stories for which ones they want to write for. After that, writers are chosen for each of the stories, and we begin the writing and editing and posting process.
So we have one question. How is the class structured? So in terms of staff structure and how it relates to content creation, it all starts with our staff writers and managers who do the groundwork in coming up with the ideas for the articles we write and actually do the writing of the articles themselves. Throughout this creative process is the section editor's guidance. So they're the ones, organizing and managing all the deadlines, editing all the articles in their first stages, and kind of creating all the creative layouts that you'll be seeing when the story goes to publication. After collecting this content comes the editor-in-chiefs. So we're the ones who provide a secondary round of editing. And overall, throughout the month, we just generally oversee the entire staff and their progress as well. And hopefully that answers your question.